This is the FCO course. It's June 2015, Part 20, Introduction to Payroll Management, Payroll Basics. Are you new to the budget world and looking to learn more about payroll or just have general interest in payroll? The payroll session will be an overview covering things such as accruals, payroll schedules, and maybe even, or maybe not, payroll rejects, stuff you all will need to know.
Okay, thank you, Richard. So here are, I'm not going to read all these bullets, but here is a list of all the things that I'm going to go over today in this. Again, it's an introduction to payroll class. We do cover, I have another course where I go way into detail on many things. Okay, so how is payroll issued to you? Every allowance holder has payroll issued to them in BOC 10, which is Budget Object Code 10 is for payroll. Payroll is personal compensation and benefits, PC&B. And PC&B is your pay for the hours that you work plus benefits. And the payroll dollars are issued within the PRCs in which the allowance holder performs work. And I have a couple of slides that illustrate, here's an example of allowance holder that has payroll issued in a single appropriation except multiple PRCs. Here's an example of an allowance holder that has both appropriations B&T but only a single PRC. And then we have an example of an allowance holder with multiple appropriations and multiple PRCs, and this is by far the most common example of how offices get their payroll. It's going to be multiple appropes and multiple PRCs. And the regions, I mean, they have like just about every PRC there is. Within BOC 10, there are 3 finance object class series that map to it. The 1100 series is a set of object classes that are tied to hours. The 1200 series is a set of object classes tied to benefits. And 1300 series is tied to benefits to former employees. Oh, I meant to say in the very beginning, I wanted to thank Allison and Kelly for making these screens easier on your eyes. I don't know how to put pictures in, and they did a great job of making this nice and neat for me. Every employee is tied to 1 or more fixed account numbers or FANs based on the work that they do. If an employee's job changes, if an employee previously working maybe in the water area is now working in a different area, the FANs should be changed to reflect what they're doing. And then I have a couple of slides that show examples how employees' FANs are set up. These are employees charged to a single apprope and a single PRC. Here we have a single appropriation and multiple PRCs. Multiple appropriations and multiple PRCs. So an employee can be charged to, I believe the most I've seen is 5 or 6 FANs, and someone told me they wanted to limit that number to 5. When I think...
Hey, let me ask, we're taking for granted that, just a note, when someone goes in and fills out their People Plus, it automatically hits the FANs that she's talking about. It hits the FANs. So we don't have to put that in unless you're doing Superfund site stuff or some other special things, or like you're a lawyer. But generally, when you put in your People Plus, it automatically knows how to charge your time based on what she just showed you.
So when you fill in your time card, however your People Plus task profile is established with whatever FANs to whatever percentages, that's how you're going to be paid. On this slide, when I think of payroll, to me it falls under 3 unique categories, within 3 unique categories within BOC 10. The first and the largest is main pay. So that first bullet, that's your biweekly paycheck. The pay periods end on a Saturday. The following week, we submit a file to our payroll provider, IBC. And then payroll is posted in Compass and in the reporting tools as early as the Friday following the close of the pay period, or as late as the following Tuesday, which is going to be payday. The next category of payroll is the PHS payroll. That's the Public Health Service. They're also referred to as the Commission Corps. A number of offices at EPA have the PHS officers on their staffs. The PHS payroll is processed once a month, and it's based on when we receive the file from HHS. Sometimes it's early as the first week of the month. Sometimes it's towards the end of the month. It really depends. It's generally somewhere in between. And once we process the PHS payroll, the reporting tools are updated. And the last category of BOC 10 is all the other stuff that maps to BOC 10, but it's not part of main pay and it's not part of the PHS payroll. And this is stuff like professional liability insurance, costs associated with the PCS move, transit subsidy. And the reason I like to illustrate these three unique categories is, depending on what you're looking for, there are different queries that have this information. On this particular slide, Compass Financials, CDW status of funds, the CDW general ledger query that I showed yesterday, and Seaboard. All of those four are going to have all types of payroll available. The CDW payroll query, which is in the restricted area, you will only find EPA and PHS payroll there. And in the CDW advanced query, you will not find main pay or PHS payroll, but you will find those other categories, the liability insurance and the PCS and transit subsidy. Main pay is, I indicated, posted every other week, every 2 weeks. And if the pay date is in a subsequent month, the posting of payroll will definitely be on Tuesday. So if we close out a pay period, but your payday is in another month, you will not see it. You won't see it on Friday, but you'll see it Tuesday. PHS is on a monthly basis. All the other BOC 10 that's not part of main pay or PHS updates the reporting tools as soon as they're posted. Okay, so now within main pay and within PHS payroll, there are two other types of payroll actions that you want to be aware of. One is referred to as net zero transactions. These are changes that one makes to an employee's FANs, either going retroactively or scheduling for going forward. These are accounting changes only. And the other is accruals, which I'm going to address on another slide. Accruals are pretty important. When it comes to the net zeros, there's two types of net zero transactions. One is the reprocessing of an employee's time card after you've gone in and made accounting-only changes. Maybe you've got a chunk of expiring payroll, 14-15 payroll, and you want to go ahead and use that up. Depending on the size of what you have, using the employee task profile and making the change, you can go through more than one employee, multiple pay periods, and reprocess the time cards to use up your payroll. When it comes to the small amounts of dangling payroll, maybe you've got a few $100s, maybe you've got pennies, that is when you would want to use the CPARS function in People Plus. CPARS is the best way to get rid of small amounts of payroll. You can charge out awards. You can charge out lump sum payments or premium pay. But awards are by far the easiest way for someone to get rid of those dangling amounts of payroll. It's so cool. You can get rid of every penny you have. The CPARS, oh, question?
I didn't think you could backcharge awards to old money.
I had many conversations with Dan Coogan about this and the impact that, the problem with CPARS is you can only safely, and when I say safely, I'll elaborate a bit, you can only safely charge awards, premium pay, or lump sum payouts. Okay? Now, I let him know, CPARS was also designed to change charge benefits. The problem with change charging benefits is they will get reversed. And if anyone in the room has done this, you know that every time you do it, they reverse out, and you really are not safe doing that. I had a conversation with Dan about this, and he went back to John Showman, who I know sent out that initial email that said the awards had to be charged to NOA. The revised view on this, the revised word on this is the awards have to be issued in NOA, but you can then afterwards go back and change them to be charged to expiring funds.
Okay, I haven't done any CPARs since we've gone under the new system because they get so messed up.
Yeah, well, if you do benefits, they will, but you can change charge awards now and use up your expiring money.
Okay. I used to do them all the time, and now it's like, okay.
Besides them reversing, sometimes you get double charged when you do payroll, but you can do awards real easy, and you can do it down to cents and everything. It's real easy, real fast, and it uploads. But if you do if you do your payroll, sometimes you get double charged because at the end, they still want the money again, and then you have to pay it out.
The bottom line is if you have access to do CPARs, you want to get rid of expiring funds this way, just do not use benefit object classes, okay? That's the only way you're really going to be safe. And just to go back one step, the reason I brought this up with Dan was there were offices, I said, if you're not going to let us do awards, then you are putting people in a bind, because how many people have folks that retired? So, or how many people have premium pay? So you were really putting folks in a bind, but it's all taken care of now. Just to let you know, CPARS, this was, the CPARS function in People Plus is from the original old payroll system, and it was called Combined Payroll Redistribution Systems, for those of you that go way back when we had e-pays. Payroll accruals. Okay, what is an accrual? Before I address it, let me just mention that years ago, we used to process accruals every single pay period. And the accrual that posted when we processed, say, pay period 10, was the payroll need the allowance holder had for this next pay period, for pay period 11. So then when pay period 11 posted, we reversed the accrual posted in 10, posted a new accrual with 11 for pay period 12, and so on. So it was a process that ran every single pay period. It's been quite some time now that we have not run it every pay period. We only run accruals quarterly. So when we run the accrual, it is for the remaining days in the month or the quarter for the payroll need that the allowance holder has. When we run the next pay period, the accruals are reversed. So accruals, they do update the status of funds report. There's a column there for accruals. Now, one thing that's important to note, if you are change charging, using up expiring funds via the task profile and reprocessing time cards, when accruals are posted, they are posted against the accounting strips that people are charged to. And I used to have people contact me and they said, all of a sudden I'm in the hole on my expiring payroll. And I said, and I would look and I go, well, I can tell you why. We posted an accrual and you had people charged to expiring funds. It'll reverse out next pay period, but that's what happens. So whatever account people are charged to, when we run the accruals, those are the accounts that get charged. The last thing I want to say about accruals is when accruals are posted, if they put you in a de facto status, that means that you do not have enough payroll to cover your need, because it's a set aside of your need for the next pay for the remaining days. Okay, so on the People Plus homepage, there are 4 calendars, and I find 2 of these extremely helpful. I rely on them every week, every pay period. The People Plus Payroll Processing Calendar is one of them. I've got a slide of it. And the Accrual Schedule, I have a slide of that. I'll show you both. Let's look at the other. So here's the People Plus main page. You can see the calendars are listed. And here is the payroll processing calendar. I like this. It tells me when the pay period ends, what are the pay days, when does time administration run, all that great information. And what I do on my wall, I have a copy of this calendar and I mark it up with red ink. So just a reminder to myself when to check for pay period, whatever, when to check for net zeros. Since the net zeros process typically the Thursday before the main pay is posted. So I've annotated my own copy so as a reminder for when to check. And so just to let you know, pay period 19, which ended last Saturday, on my calendar I have a note to check for tomorrow. So I'll see if it's there. The accrual schedule. This is really important for anyone who has access to go in and make task profile changes and reprocess time cards. The key thing here are the begin and end dates of the pay periods. So you need to know that when you're going in and making those types of changes. By the way, when you do the reprocess time cards, if you are making accounting changes, those do require supervisory approval. Payroll projections. As many offices as there are out there, there's probably as many ways to run payroll projections. Everybody who does this currently does it a little bit differently. You can do it by allowance holder RC, by approach, by PRC. Any slicing and dicing, sorting of the accounting strip, you can do the projections. I have a very simple example to show you. And then I have a subsequent slide that shows you those things that you may need to take into consideration when you are preparing projections. So this is really simple. In my office, we have one appropriation, we have one PRC, and we have 3 divisions. So we're under Fund WR, we have one PRC, like I said, and then the 3 divisions. So this is a really simple example. I included on this slide where I get the data from for each of these columns. So that's right there for you. The award adjustment, as we've been, since pay period 15, we've had additional awards posts. So as the additional awards post, I update that and reduce what's left by the amount that's been posted. This is the list of items that may impact your projections: new hires, retirements, lump sum payouts. Overtime, I remember years ago when payroll was really tight, a number of offices really cut back on allowing people to do overtime. Transit subsidy, that primarily impacts the regions. Premium pay, there's an organization in OECA, the Criminal Investigation Division, and the agents, the special agents in charge, all of their folks there, typically have premium pay and overtime pay. And when they do their projections, because it's basically a routine thing, they include the fact that they had overtime and premium pay. They include that information in their projections. FTE projections. What is an FTE? An FTE stands for full-time equivalent, and that's basically anyone who works a full-time schedule. For 2015, that's 2,088 hours.
Hey, Barb, can you tell them do you know where they would find this information? How many hours in an FTE if they
It's in the CDW query.
I guess I was more looking for the A11 is the OMB guidance where it's what year, how many hours in an FTE.
Oh, and I wouldn't have known that. I know it because someone kindly updates the CDW queries every year with that information, as well as in the FTE projection query, how many pay periods there are in that particular year. But just like the payroll projections, the FTE projections can be run in any number of ways, slicing and dicing the accounting strip. And what I'm going to show you is the same organization that has one approach, one PRC, and 3 divisions. It's pretty straightforward. This query comes directly from the CDW FTE projection query. The only thing that's been added to this is the working capital fund accountants every year provide me with the number of FTE for each division. So I've included that in the FTE allocation column, and that way I'm able to project lapse or overage of, using the FTEs. So as we said in the beginning, this was designed to be simply an introduction to, not going in all the detail of how to do things in People Plus, if the task profile changes, the CPARS actions, all of that. I have a separate course where we go really into the nitty-gritty of how to do those things, cover the payroll queries, cover the reports available in People Plus, and so that course is really geared towards folks who are responsible for doing projections and managing payroll. And we haven't scheduled another one yet. We're working on it. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Barbara.